Rebellion is in the air like thick smoke, so thick no one can see the will of God, or the destruction that results when we revolt against the rules meant to preserve us and keep us safe. In these smoky times, God has become the enemy of man because he dares tell us what not to do. We award approval as if it were trophies to rule breakers and dissenters. Children speak disrespectfully to parents, adults, teachers, and defy all authority. Sexual impropriety is worn like a badge of honor. Women are applauded for being at war with men instead of standing by their sides. Living together before marriage is considered enlightened and appropriate instead of fornication. Drugs, porn, spending beyond one's means, neglecting mates and children, husbands mistreating wives. These behaviors reign in this smoky air of rebellion. The worrisome thing about smoke is it signals that something is burning, and it is. God's thou shalt nots are met with a spirit of I shall if I choose. We will not have our right to self-determination challenged even by deity. Any authority that limits us is being challenged and defied in the name of personal freedom and enlightenment. Rule breakers and rebels are made into heroes. Parents, teachers, and police are becoming powerless to maintain order and instill character. Defiance against rules and laws in homes, churches, businesses, and communities is admired and praised. The culture taunts thusly. Do you do everything your parents tell you to do? You have the right to have some fun. Your parents are old-fashioned. I would ignore them if I were you. Who cares about the rules? Loosen up and live a little. Rules were made to be broken. What your parents don't know won't hurt them. The casualties of this social revolution are many: etiquette and good manners, lasting marriages, harmonious societies, good service, safe streets, positive civil discourse, loving churches, sacred traditions, the scriptures, and so many more. But how did we get here? Why do people rebel even when rebelling does them harm? The answer lies in Eden, in creation, in our nature. When God gave Adam and Eve the law not to eat of the forbidden fruit, that law awakened sin in their heart, because man, like Satan, envies God. And in a fatal God-like act, Adam and Eve gave themselves the power to rule over themselves. That is how it works for us all. When the strength of our wicked desires exceeds the strength of our will to obey, the spirit of rebellion can enter our hearts. And then we push righteous rules aside, using twisted reasoning and rationalizations to make our wrong choices feel right. Remember how Satan led Eve into those rationalizations in Genesis 3 verses 4 through 6, and it reads,
"But the serpent said to the woman, 'You will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate.
To make matters worse, in our modern society, a philosophy of no absolute truths gives us even more permission to follow our own ideas. Therefore, it is easy to create logical justifications that disguise our rebellious hearts and willful sins as enlightened thinking. When our desires are in conflict with our right to pursue those desires, the spirit of rebellion awakens in our hearts. Such dissonance creates a psychic strain, and if it is not offset by a militating commitment to a greater love, then our souls seek to throw off the yoke of rules, and therefore rebellion takes us over. Parents are God's representatives on earth, bearing his authority to rule over children in such a way that it prepares the children to follow him. Therefore, children who rebel against parents are likely to rebel against God. Rebellious children, under Jewish law, were stoned to death because of the high likelihood that a lawless child would become a lawless adult, with a destabilizing effect on God's people. Listen to Deuteronomy 21, verses 18 through 21.
If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son, who will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and though they discipline him, will not listen to them, then his father and his mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his city at the gate of the place where he lives, and they shall say to the elders of his city, "This our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard." Then all the men of the city shall stone him to death with stones. So you shall purge the evil from your midst, and all Israel shall hear and fear.
Though the former lawful punishment of stoning is not expected in this dispensation of grace and mercy, the Scriptures evidence God's strong disdain for rebellious children. He further will call parents into account who won't take action to quell the rebellious hearts of their children. Inside all of us, there is a raging monster, full of selfish desires and wanton passions. It tugs at our emotions and growls with fierce wants against the leash of our self-control. With deafening noise and persistent pounding, the monster tries to wear us down and force us to let it off its leash so that it might devour until satisfied. Too many of too little faith are becoming sufficiently worn down to let go the thick leather restraint or their will, and then presume upon our Creator to allow us to let our monster feed. Rebellion is no small matter. It got humanity into the mess it is in today. Only when we recognize the reign of a sovereign Lord and purpose to follow the laws He used to weave the universe together can we control rebellion in our own hearts. If we don't teach our children the law that is greater than man's law, they are doomed to follow the rebellious trends and twisted reasoning of this generation. They must be taught Proverbs 17 verse 11, which warns,
"A rebellious man seeks only evil, so a cruel messenger will be sent against him."
and Isaiah verse 1 that reads,
"Woe to the rebellious children, declares the Lord, who execute a plan but not mine, and make an alliance but not of my spirit, in order to add sin to sin."
They need to hear verses such as Isaiah verse 9.
For this is a rebellious people, false sons, sons who refuse to listen to the instruction of the Lord.
And others like Psalms 107 verse 17.
Fools, because of their rebellious way, and because of their iniquities, were afflicted.
Indeed, this entire nation is ablaze because of its rebellion against God. Children are out of control, families are disintegrating, and the social order is crumbling in the choking smoke of it. But this is not new. Other nations have tried to fight with God, and rebellion overcame the hearts of other nations in the past. However, it did not end well. Rome, Babylon, and Sodom bear witness to the peril our nation is bringing upon itself, while broken lives are bearing witness to what awaits rebellious children who breathe in the smoke and adopt the hellish mind of this rebellious culture. Indeed, we must watch and pray.